Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the football podcast, and there's myself, Paul, and James. We're all here to bring you the football info, football news, predict some games, talk about games from last week. It's all here. It's jam-packed. That's right. YouTube watchers, do subscribe. There's not just YouTube, though. There's iTunes and SoundCloud. So if YouTube's not your speed, check out the audio podcast. So here we go. This is CookieCast. You can't see the forest for the Tees. And we're off. It has to be James's turn by now.
No. Well, it can't be me. Mainly for the fact that it's probably best that we don't have the opener of the podcast be, and etc. So. Yeah. Well, we've just had that.
Anybody watching or listening right now is like, fuck it, I wish Paul gets his internet sorted.
Welcome to You Can't See the Forest for the Tees.
There we go.
Season something, episode something.
Well, it's season 3, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say episode 14. Just for...
Sounds about right.
Something like that.
Do you reckon if I've been a good enough boy this year that Santa might bring me a new router and a new internet provider?
Yeah. So in January, when we're still having these problems, we know who was on the naughty list.
Yeah, big time.
Thought James was settling in for a little nana nap there.
There you go. Look incredibly comfortable.
Had a long hard day.
Always.
So, anything of any major news to report from this week in football?
I suppose the biggest thing happened last night, and it wasn't Man United not going through to the knockout stage of the Champions League. Oh well, if I think I know where Paul's going, and we absolutely haven't talked about racism for a long time. Sadly, we have. Well, not sadly, we have not. Sadly, we have to talk about it again. But if there is one sort of positive to be taken out of it, it is that it's an instance where it's happened and the players have actually banded together and given the correct outcome.
Boys.
So, Paris Saint-Germain versus Istanbul Başakşehir. Well done. Have you been practicing that? In the last group stage of last group game of this season Champions League. They're about 15-20 minutes in, I think, and I think there was like a foul on the right on the side of the pitch nearest to the dugouts, and the Istanbul bench has got up to complain about what's happened. Off the back of that, the fourth official has spoken to the referee to then sort the situation out because he felt that one of the bench had reacted in the wrong way, and I believe the phrasing he used was, "It was this black guy." Well, no, I think I saw saying, "Get that white guy off" or something like that. Oh, really? And then they were basically saying, "Why did you have to say black guy? Why couldn't it just been this guy and point to the guy who done it?" And then it was quite good. This is where, yes, this is what I was going to say. This is where fans not being in the stadium probably helped, because the microphones were able to pick it up really clearly. Demba Ba went over to him and just basically said, in a perfectly sort of calm manner, obviously he was agitated, which he would be, obviously, but he said to him in like a perfectly sort of calm and rational manner, he was like, whenever you're talking about white guys, you always go, this guy or this guy. So why, when you're talking, or when you're referring to a black footballer or a black person, why are you saying this black guy? Why can't it just be this guy and point to the guy who it was? And off the back of that, the Besiktas players sort of talked amongst themselves and then decided to go off the pitch, but told the PSG players what had happened, and I think there was a couple of them that had agreed between them that like they weren't happy to carry on. I think there was talks. It might have been led by Mbappe. Was one of the first people to say that's it. We're not going to stay on the pitch. We're going to walk off as well. And the match ended up getting abandoned after the first 20 minutes. It did get rescheduled and was played earlier tonight. So obviously because everyone was still there, they got absolutely smashed. Was it 5-1 in the end?
Was it 5-1 or 5-2? I saw Neymar got 3 and then Messi got 2.
There was talk about restarting the game.
Has he gone?
Possibly.
Right. So there was talk. There was talk of the game getting restarted, where UEFA had offered to remove the fourth official and change him with one of the officials that was in the VAR truck outside the ground, or in like the bowels of the ground or whatever. And the Besiktas players were basically like, well, no, we don't want him to be anything to do with the game anymore because, you know, he's proven that he's not fit to be, you know, in charge of anything in relation to the game. So if he's in the VAR truck, then what's to say he's not just gonna?
Was it the ref or was it the linesman, in for want of a better word?
It was the fourth official.
Oh, was it the fourth official? Right.
Yeah. So it was the guy who obviously comes and does the board for the substitutions and stuff like that. So yeah, weird in that. Obviously, there was talk that it might have been a translation issue because apparently, because I think the officials were Romanian, and there was a lot of stuff on Twitter that was saying that apparently the Romanian translation of the word black is negru, and I think there was talk that it may have been lost in translation, but shouldn't have even been the case because, as Demba Ba pointed out, why did he even have to bring the term black into it? He could have just pointed at the guy who'd said what it was, or because I think it was the assistant manager. So they've obviously done the introduction before the game. They know who everyone is. They could have just said it's the assistant manager, and then asked him to come forward. They didn't have to bring race into it or anything. So yeah, there was, like I said, there was this talk of getting him moved into the VAR truck, but they didn't want him to be involved with the game anymore. So it ended up getting postponed last night. So it's obviously bad that it's happened again, but it's good in that the players had the, I don't want to say wherewithal, they had the sort of the gumption, I suppose, or they had the, I can't think of the best word to say, but they had the sort of nous or conviction. That's the word I'm looking for. They had the conviction to walk off the pitch and just say, "We're not playing anymore."
And obviously, it's something that the sport of football is trying to promote. To stand up against this sort of stuff and to act. And I think, as far as a respect perspective, like the description you've given there of like how the events played out, that is absolutely bang on the money of how a situation like that should go. Two teams who have clearly got that mutual respect for each other and the situation have both made that decision, walked away. It's good that it's also been dealt with to the sense that they've been able to replay it this evening and things like that. It's good that in some ways they tried to step in and try to get the game restarted, but the players stuck to their guns and so it sounds like you said at the start, a bad situation kind of come good, sort of. And anything like this is always going to serve as a lesson for future situations. So, yeah. Anything else from this here week or last there week?
In a similar vein, you had the issue of fans being allowed back into the stadium. So in certain parts of the country there's now up to 2,000 fans in stadiums, and one of the first places to go back was Millwall, and there was controversy there where the players took the knee at the start of the game to sort of promote the in relation to the Black Lives Matter movement and stuff like that, and there was quite audible booing from the Millwall supporters, so that wasn't ideal. I think there was talk that it wasn't a racist sort of comment, or it wasn't a racist reaction. It was more something to do with, there was people who said it was Marxist and stuff. I don't know enough about it to sort of comment on it further, but it's just that obviously happened. They then played again last night against QPR, and
I didn't know if he was pausing for dramatic effect.
I thought it was and I thought he was thinking for a second. Now he's and we've moved around, and he's back. There we go. Are we back?
Yeah, I don't really know what happened there. Well, I do.
You honestly timed out at the best point when you were like,
it was amazing.
They said. He's done it again.
He's gone again. It's amazing. Oh,
I think what he was trying to say was, I believe the QPR fans, the QPR players, went up and made a point of it in front of the Millwall people.
Didn't get any of that.
Well, we didn't get any of you. No, that's how you left us last time.
You're going to have to stay like that for the rest of it now. Amazing.
Well, there's a couple of weird stats that I saw. Both Man United related. Since Ferguson left Man United,
they've been rubbish.
Did you see that stat today that I think Man United have scored 62 goals in the Champions League since Ferguson left. Cristiano Ronaldo alone has scored 84. Yeah, that came through while you were there before. So we lost. And the other one was, and I found this quite weird, is that Solskjaer's been in charge of 10 United Champions League games. And obviously, remember the heroics of when he first took over and Rashford took him through against PSG. He's, out of his 10 games in charge of United in the Champions League, he's lost 6. I was surprised at that.
Are you sure it's only 10?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Well,
But now
he was sure. Now, not so much.
Well, he's had 6 this season.
They weren't in Champions League last year, though, were they?
No. Oh, right. So you had the 2 legs against PSG. And then the 2 legs in the next round.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Don't be questioning me, Paul.
Ooh, it looks like handbags at dawn situation here.
This guy.
You were making me doubt myself then.
Never doubt yourself, James.
Because I was thinking,
you're just as good at the
stats.
stats.
In Europe last year, but it absolutely wasn't Champions League.
So was last year his first full season in charge then?
Yeah.
Now Paul's doubting himself.
Yeah.
The tables have turned. The teacher becomes the student. Right, let's talk about some games. As is apparently the way of things, there were a mighty 4 games to predict, and predict them we did.
I think mighty's a stretch.
You at the back.
Just before we go on to the results and stuff like that, it looked like James was drinking a deliciously tasty beverage there. Was
he timed out and we didn't even know it earlier?
Yeah, you missed...
The beer was on the camera at the start of the call, Paul.
Yeah, you must have missed that one as well.
Oh, is he holding a pose? Or is he?
No, I don't think.
I'm so ashamed.
I don't think he's frozen in this one.
I'm so ashamed of my 56k modem dial-up internet. It's terrible.
56, jeez. So,
there used to be one lad I used to work with, and he used to refer it to as the 56k pipe.
No matter how many times I say this, I really don't feel the need to use the word pipe in any given situation.
Pipe is a funny word, isn't it?
Honestly, when Paul offers up
a glorious
pipe of Pringles, I'm like, can we not say pipe?
Anyway, get us back on track.
So, this is not mine and Paul's first rodeo today. And we had a little conversation, and Paul needs to air some beef, unfortunately, and that beef is around the Reading versus Nottingham Forest game. Being the guy that I am, I'm there. I'm all there for the numbers. I like to write things down. I like to correlate, get it all down in. Look, the book. There's the book. Don't want to give anything away, but there's the book. So I wrote stuff down. I was like, Paul, you can't pick for shit, mate. You can't pick anybody. You've picked this guy. He's like, pretty sure I got the goal scorer. Well, you didn't, because you picked the wrong person, didn't you? No. Paul, do you want to let us know? Well, no. Let's start in the correct place. James, it was your team. What was the score of that game?
Well, this is embarrassing. Was it? I couldn't remember if it was 1-0 or 2-0. 2-0.
Correct. That is correct, James. And
I've given up on Forest. Honestly.
You and me both.
You're gonna become a Blade?
No, because they're even worse. But we don't talk about Premier League anymore.
Do you know who scored those 2 goals, by any chance?
It wasn't the guy I picked.
It wasn't mate.
No. Was it? Is it Euro or something like that? I can't remember now. No.
So, one of the goals was scored by...
I don't know.
One of the goals was scored by Morrison, and the other was scored by Lucas Zhao. As far as we can tell, that is the pronunciation of that name. Paul's like, I definitely put him down as my goal scorer. Let me just go back and have a little listen. Paul, what happened?
So, I did say that I didn't want to probably gift myself a point if I hadn't said it, but I was fairly confident that I'd said Lucas João to score for Reading. So I thought, well,
did we take it to VAR?
There's one very clear and obvious way that I can overturn this.
We went to the VAR.
We went to the VAR. Now, what I was going to say is if we were really shit hot on this, what I'd do is I'd basically play the clip in like an Inception style podcast within the podcast.
I'm not sure your internet can take that.
A fourth wall break.
I don't think it can either, James. In fact, if I was to play it whilst we'd record this, I think my entire house might explode. No, not worth taking the risk. But I logged on to YouTube, jumped over to the CookieCast YouTube platform, had a quick listen back to You Can't See the Forest for the Tees episode
12, 13?
we think this is 14, so good maths.
13. Alright.
So, listen back. Well, scratch that. Use my eyes. Watched back. Skipped to the relevant section. And I did indeed say, I'll go for João. And Andy said, Carvalho!
I wrote Carvalho down.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I love the fact that he's been listing all these months though.
So not only that, he'd obviously put down an ex-Forest player that doesn't play for Reading to get the Reading goal. So...
Hey, there is a couple of ex. There is a couple of ex-Forest players at Reading this year, though, isn't there?
Yeah, but João Carvalho in one of them, isn't he?
Yeah, João Carvalho is not one of them.
So, what that means is, unfortunately, Nottingham Forest did take another loss, but as far as points-wise, I predicted they would lose, not quite to the extent they did. James, being the supporter of his team that he is, he also predicted them to lose. Paul didn't get any points because he actually predicted a draw, but he did get points for correctly predicting a goal scorer, and I had to give him one of my points for the injustice. So points all round, but not quite the points we were looking for. That speeds us swiftly to Stoke City versus Middlesbrough. Paul, this is your team. Can you tell us what the score in that game was? They're not your team. Not your team anymore. Put them in the bin.
Done with them.
I mean...
Bin them off. Sadly, it is my team, Andrew, and... it turns out they couldn't do it on a wet Saturday afternoon in Stoke. Terrible. Yeah, sadly they succumbed to a 1-0 defeat at the Potteries. But do you know what? I'm gonna peel back the curtain somewhat. I wasn't that disappointed, and do you know why, listeners? Do you know why, viewers? Because at the same time as Middlesbrough were getting it handed to them by Stoke, I was enjoying some wonderful beers from the great North Brewing Company in Leeds.
It's a true story.
You gave us free beer for that.
Hey, do you reckon?
Worth a
Yeah,
laugh.
I mean,
Portion of the podcast is sponsored now.
We've obviously just increased, North Brewery's sales
Absolutely.
with our massive subscription.
International podcast superstars. Mr. Williams, you are correct. It was 1-0. Do you know who scored that goal?
I believe it was Nathan Collins.
You are correct, sir. And do you know what? Nobody picked him to score, did they?
Nope. No one in their right mind is picking Nathan Collins to score.
Some of us thought that Middlesbrough were getting 2 goals. Paul, seeming to like a draw at that point in time, went for a Desmond. Mr. Panas, he loves a draw as well, as long as there's no goals involved. I had a little more faith in it, and I thought Middlesbrough were going to have a cheeky win. So, as I'm sure you're kind of getting the picture there, bagels all round. Which brings us to mere hours ago, when on a what day is it today? Is it Wednesday? I've lost track. On a Wednesday evening.
You can tell that response signifies Wednesday.
Ah. I thought you'd just been,
undisclosed working location.
I thought you'd just been clubbing.
As they keep saying at work, it's like you've gone to the world's shittest festival.
Well.
It's gone. It's when he raises his hand.
Maybe it's a motion thing.
Yeah. He didn't even know it either.
Again, back-to-back games for the Borough Boys. If we thought the Stoke game was bad, we might be in for a little surprise on this one. Paul, your team again, back with a vengeance. Can you tell us what the score in this evening, at time of recording, this evening's Middlesbrough game was versus Preston?
Before we tell us the score, we have to prefix it with Preston are really bad at home.
What about? They'd won 1 out of 8 or something like that. I can only assume that 11 strangers who've never played football together before managed to kidnap the entire Middlesbrough squad and overtook their jerseys and positions on the football pitch, because in a very uncharacteristic Neil Warnock style fashion, they managed to capitulate and lose the game not 1, not 2, but 3-0.
So we've got some names for some goals here. So you start out fine. Potts, Sinclair. I mean, these are all names that we can deal with, we can handle. Rees Jacobson. I mean, that can only be me pronouncing that name wrong.
No, you're absolutely bang on, Andrew.
Oh, okay. So, as I'm sure listeners, viewers, watchers, and all of those in between who like this podcast will know, nobody predicted that Preston North End were getting 3 goals. Nobody predicted Preston North End were going to win.
Because Paul conned us into thinking they were shit at home.
It's not a blame culture, James. It's not what it's about. The only person who ever stood a chance of getting any points out of this game by the time the score came in was, in fact, Mr. Williams, because he was the only person to pick a Preston player to score. But unfortunately for Mr. Williams, he didn't pick any of the 3 that did score. So, bagels all round. We are freaking amazing at this game. Finally, mere minutes ago, this one, Norwich City took on what was once mighty and is now a 2-legged dog in a 3-legged dog race. Norwich City versus Nottingham Forest. James, what did that game finish at?
2-1 to Norwich.
Well, it's fine, Because, and let me tell you why. We all thought, well, some of us thought that Norwich were going to win this. So, points there. Unfortunately, Lungi Sorensen, oh, he's gone. And I'm going to go with Buendia, maybe?
Buendia, yeah.
Okay, scored for Norwich City. Now then, I might be doing an injustice here. It might be my poor spelling. We never know. Could always be. And it's not the first time that I've screwed Paul out of points. Paul, who did you pick?
I've got a feeling he did.
Did you pick one of the goal scorers, and have I spelt your pick wrong?
I would have imagined I'd have picked Buendia.
No. No, I'm wondering whether Paul picked the Forest scorer.
Nobody picked
Knockout.
Nobody picked Knockout. So, have I written down your pick wrong by spelling it wrong? Because I've spelt it with a G.
What have you written? I've
put Gwendia.
I would imagine you've spelt it wrong then.
Okay, that's wonderful. There we go. I'll just correct my other mistake of this. I'm doing well here. I'll just correct that there, and then I'll just correct that there.
Was it this game that I was trying to suggest that Bryce Samba might score?
No.
Yeah, it was.
As it is, we have 4 fresh new games to pick and 4 fresh new opportunities to get big points, big money. But before
it sounds like a cliffhanger.
Before we do that, for you at home, we'll be right back, and for us here, we will be back momentarily. And as they say in the horror movies, we'll be right back. See? Painless. Seamless. That's another one. And the way that we know it's seamless is straight off the bat we're going to predict what Middlesbrough and the Millwall are gonna do. So, Paul, you will go last. James, as has been the theme more recently, I have already made all of my picks for the week. So, would you like me to tell you what I've picked this week, or would you like to have your go first?
Is it Millwall Middlesbrough or Middlesbrough Millwall?
It's written Middlesbrough Millwall.
We'll be river dancing.
We'll go for a 1-0 to Borough.
Yeah, but what are you picking?
And I will go with Tavernier.
Look at that! Look at it!
Is that what you've got?
I knew it!
Unbelievable.
That is
Interestingly,
brilliant.
right? You started that game tonight with literally a bench full of forwards. You know, like whenever we've gone and watched the Borough in like last season or whatever, and it's like you've absolutely got no one on the bench to change a game. You just had a fucking bench full of attackers. I mean, you still got shit on, but
right, big man, calm down. Plenty of Forest wins was there this week.
Hey, I'm taking it where I can get it. We scored a goal for the first time in like 17 games.
So that swiftly brings us on to
I like the fact that you were both optimistic.
Are you not so much? Oh, he's waiting. He's waiting. Any minute now. The worst thing is that we can see him.
Oh, we're back.
And we're back. There we go.
Right then. So, yeah, like I said, I like the fact that you were both optimistic because I'm going to go for a Baxter Basics 0-0 draw.
Fantastic. So
Colin won't be happy. Colin will not be happy shipping 3. So he'll want the defence to keep it nice and tight. Reset 0-0.
well, there we go. So that brings us swiftly on to Nottingham Forest going up against the Bees. Old Brentford right there. Again, James, in this situation, you will pick last. Paul, first or second? 1, as in first, or...
No, that was me saying I'll go first.
Go on then.
Sorry, James, but it's a 2-0 Brentford win.
And those goal scorers?
Tony.
You are
I need to
correct.
check my second one.
I'm just gonna do this real quick. Can you... I can't see, but yeah, we're on a winner here.
You haven't got mine yet.
Oh God.
Is it
Yeah, I'll go for Tony and Marcondes.
Marcondes? Can't get that one wrong. James.
I'm going to go for 3-0 Brentford with a Tony hat trick. Yeah, I know.
I feel that you may be slipping into the Stew camp at this point in time. Is football dead to you? At this point in time, it's back.
It's just going to get worse in the next couple of weeks where Wickham, Derby and Wednesday just go past us.
Speaking of the Wednesday, it's back-to-back Forest games. Hello, sir. Have you got money for me?
I do, but I need your pick. I missed your pick.
Oh, for Forest Brentford?
Yeah.
0-1. Again, 0-1.
Look at his face.
Curse you, internet.
The worst thing is we
Don't
can
hold your
see
hand up.
him.
Every time you hold your hand up, that's when it goes.
0-1. Yes, sir.
Right. So, bets are as follows so far. So I have 0-0 Middlesbrough Millwall and 2-0 Nottingham Forest Brentford for a return of 62-1.
Okay.
James has Middlesbrough 1-0, Middlesbrough Millwall 1-0, Nottingham Forest Brentford 0-3 for a return of 113-1.
Love it.
Andrew has a very sensible Middlesbrough Millwall 1-0, Nottingham Forest 0, Brentford 1 for a return of 35-1.
It's hardly worth winning that bet, is it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be terrible to have £35 in my betting account.
I mean, you could have had that last week, but yeah, you got greedy.
So, back-to-back Forest games with Nottingham Forest versus Sheffield Wednesday. Seen as everybody chose to go first. It's my turn. No surprises. It's 0-1 to Sheffield Wednesday on this one. Now we get to play the game. Did I pick a player for Sheffield Wednesday who is actually playing? So, spin that wheel. Is it Windass?
Scored at the weekend.
There we go. Paul,
Yes, sir.
what you got for me?
A little bit of Pulis ball might come into effect. Let's go for a shithouse 1-0 Forest win. The epitome of that being Ryan Yates will score.
Is he back?
I think that would be.
Was it just a 1-game ban?
Oh, I don't know. Straight red, wasn't it?
Yeah. He was definitely suspended tonight. Oh no! So even if it's 2 games back, he'll be back with that one though, won't he? It won't be 3. So you're all good. Yeah.
James, Forest
I'm
Wednesday.
going to go for Wednesday 1, Forest 2.
Why have you done it that way around?
I don't know. Because I was just thinking about a Wednesday scorer first. I've not picked my Forest ones yet.
So who's scoring for Wednesday?
Captain's goal.
Skull.
Not captain's goal. Captain's goal.
Who is this person?
Barry
Please?
Bannon.
Is he a captain?
Yeah.
Who is this? What's this person's name?
Bannon.
Barry Bannon.
Right, Bannon.
Harry Banan.
Eric Banner. Right. Forest scorers go.
Joseph.
Old Lolster.
No, Worrell. No, I'm kidding.
I will.
Ollie.
Don't start with me.
And Arthur. Look at Paul's face.
Painful at times.
Okay. That brings us to the last game to predict, which will be, I believe, another Wednesday, not Sheffield, but another Wednesday game. Middlesbrough versus Luton Town. And again, I believe it's my turn to go first. And if anybody's keeping score, they might see a little pattern emerging when I say 1-0 to Borough. Do to score. James.
Bear with. Have Luton dropped off?
Think so.
Oh, no, they've got a very similar. They're very similar to you in the table. There's only 1 point between you. I don't know why I'm saying this, but I'll go Borough win.
I was going to say it's a Borough win, isn't it? By how many?
2-1.
2-1.
So for Borough, Chuba and Roberts.
I don't believe this. You've literally picked my 2 goal scorers, you bastard.
Really?
Yeah.
And for Luton, I've literally been doing it the same one for 2 years now. Yeah, Collins.
See, if you'd have picked him last weekend for Stoke,
Yeah.
money. Points, but you know, same thing.
Mr. Williams. 2-0.
I think he's going to change his mind now because he doesn't want to go for what I went for.
You'll have to unfreeze to do that first.
I thought he was just pausing for dramatic effect.
Originally, I think he was, and then got caught out by the freeze. Oh, he's back.
This must just be like, if we had like a sort of a forum, I imagine it'd be this sort of stuff where the viewers could do like a poll or do a sweep on what minute of the podcast Paul's feed will drop out the next time or something like that.
Do you know what they absolutely should not do? They should definitely not turn it into a drinking game. Because they will die.
That is true. Yeah, so I'm going to say 2-0 Borough, but I'm now not going to pick the 2 goal scorers that I picked, that James has picked, because got to play for points, haven't you? So
It's kind of why I didn't go Brett.
sensible. I'll go for the rhyming couplet, a Sav and Tav double.
Savile and Tav. No. Can you tell that I'm worried that I'm getting the names wrong as I've repeated all of the names I've written down so far? It's anxiety. My least favourite word. That, gentlemen, is all of the games that we need to predict for this, and some might say next week. Heathens and the like. Which brings us to some people's favourite part of the podcast, which is any other business. James, any other business?
I don't really want to. Well, it's to do with football of sorts, but more grassroots. Just like give an update that me and Lewis have agreed to join the Monday Night Football.
Really?
Mm.
Might have to get down to cheer.
Lewis is still caveating it with how his Saturday football goes. But
we'll have to do a podcast special from the sidelines. I'll commentate it.
Well, if you come down, you record it, and then we'll play it over the top. Rather than doing it, we'll do just an audio podcast one week, and we'll just loop the video of James spanking one of the top bins as the video feed.
I'll get the 4 cameras in the 4 corners of the pitch, and then I'll get I'll have to sit facing the wrong way so that I can have the camera from the laptop covering midfield and stuff, and then we'll just get all angles.
Why don't you just go all out and get yourself a drone cam?
That was my next thing. Get a drone after that and do some sky cam. Paul, any other business?
I thought he'd gone.
I thought he'd gone.
Just to follow up on James's point, obviously, the reason they've decided to come down is because they caught a glimpse of my brand spanking new pair of
the Predators.
Predator boots.
They did.
So,
I tell you what, Paul, it wasn't the Predators.
It was the top.
The bright yellow undershirt.
The yellow light
Absolutely
was.
was. Yeah. It was amazing. Well, gentlemen, as is always the case, thank you to both of you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join me and these lovely people who are no doubt listening or watching and definitely enjoying. Thank you both, and I imagine it'll be a similar time next week. Thank you both.
Pip.
There you go. What do you think to that? Another one done, and another week gone, and another week of the season in the bag. Yeah. YouTube watchers, if you subscribe, you're helping the channel, and ultimately you're helping yourself. So, bear that in mind. Everybody jump over to cookiecast.com, check us out over there, send us some social media love, or even an email. How about that? So that's it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then. Bye.